It's another episode of Around the Mage Table. This is episode 19. I'm your host, Frank. Joined, this time I'm going to Shawnee again. Shawnee, how you doing?
I'm doing amazing. How are you?
Well, I heard you're getting a little bit of attention at the bar, so good for you. Scrapclaw, how are you doing?
Yep.
Doing good.
Okay. And Tekniq, not so great, I hear. What's going on, man?
Life's good, dude. I know what you're talking about. I have a whole head of hair and I don't get attention at the bars. It's all good. It's exactly how
That's
I want
what redeemed it for you. I want to start by apologizing. We are a day late on the episode today. That's because I am dying. Not joking aside, I've had a really bad fever. I currently still have a little fever, so if you see me chugging Gatorade, it's just because I'm trying to keep up with my body losing
What
a
a
massive
baby.
amount. Well, you know.
Yeah, suck it up.
It's yeah, okay, I won't go any further than that. It's not COVID yet. We tested, so thankful for that. But if it were to crop up to be COVID, I'd have to quarantine from the family, which with a new baby, not a great idea. All right.
It just depends on who you vote for, Richie. Frank.
What?
Start over.
No, no. All right.
Karen,
Let's
power
go on.
through it.
Let's go on and get right to it because we got a lot of little topics to talk about today. And the first is this just was announced, I think, this morning. Blizzard has announced free to play for all players from the 1st to the 4th. So Tekniq, good news. You don't have to resub just yet. You'll be able to level a tune.
Thank
I
God,
hear
dude.
that Mop Remix, though, they're like capping you at 20. So we'll talk about Mop Remix just for a quick second in a minute. But I just wanted to let everyone know if you are standing on the sidelines waiting to give it a go, free week or weekend this weekend. But also with this free weekend, you've got some pre-patch events that have finally kicked off. Now, Shawnee, you're our resident expert on events. So maybe run us through real quick about what's happened, the quests associated with it. Is it worth your time, etc.?
As far as like leveling a character that's already level 60 or above, it is 100% worth the time. It levels super fast, just killing like the mobs in the area. Every time I've gone in, it happens to be like off times where like the boss is already dead or like people are working towards it. But I think like if you're just like, yeah, I want to like hop on for half an hour, you're going to get like 2 levels. So
Really?
the quest is pretty cool. Yeah,
Okay.
it's leveling fast. The quest, what I've enjoyed about it is like as you're doing the start of it, you get to watch a bunch of old video cut
We'll get to that in a
screens to like
second.
remind you of stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's been nice.
So the quest has us go to Magni down in Silithus, go to the heart of Azeroth Chamber.
Spoil it for everyone. Hold on. Spoil alert, everyone.
If it's live, is it really a spoiler anymore?
Yeah.
I guess we got to
We
kind of
wanna
define
talk
that.
about- let's go ahead and talk about the Deadpool movie too. Just tell us how that goes since it's
It
live.
was great.
Well,
great.
all that said, people are spoiling the hell out of it, even through headlines. That's why I got some stuff spoiled for it, and that made my movie experience all that little worse.
So you know where I'm coming from then.
Yeah, but okay. Anyways, so yeah, we have the event. It's no secret that we go see Magni. I'll leave it at that. And then of course we get sent to Magni Bronzebeard.
He didn't watch the recap cutscene, clearly.
Tekniq,
No,
are
I'm
you
kidding.
doing okay today?
I've already no, I told you I'm sick. I'm in a bad mood, man.
You know, that's not what you told us when we started this episode.
Exactly
So-
what I told you.
All that said, the Radiant Echoes events have been met with controversy. A lot of people upset about the timing of it. And Shawnee, you said it yourself that like it's like an hour and a half runtime, but everything can be killed within like a minute or 2, 5 minutes or whatever. Is that right? But you're
Yeah,
still saying it's good to go in and
Yeah.
level with?
I mean, like as far as leveling, yeah, I was just like, I mean, I talked to my dad on the phone the other day for like 10 minutes. I'm like, oh, I got a level. So like, yeah, I don't find it bad in the sense of like, it's not horrible. I'm not like, oh my god, I can't believe this is the most
Not
amazing thing I've ever
horrible.
done. I think
So-
you know what? I think it's doing everything it intended to do. Like,
Curious. Sorry to cut you there.
Yeah, it's
I'm
all right.
curious. I'm curious, man, because did they just like blanket buff XP? Because I like popped onto my 60 Warlock today.
they did.
Did one dungeon and now I'm like 62 and a half.
Yeah,
From
100%.
60.
I
There
was
is a
doing
buff
some,
for XP.
I was doing
I-
some achievement stuff, and I just jumped on my DK, and I got a whole level just from picking up dirt piles.
I'm confused
sick.
because
Which
you
dirt
guys are
piles
part
did
of
you
a
grab?
podcast where I've told people this on the podcast that the
Well,
60
Drew,
to
tell
70.
us again.
Who am I talking to in this?
Wait.
My God.
But you
Did
also
you hear
told
something?
Scrap that
You what?
Frank, you told Scrap that we're gonna start on Tuesday when the XP boost also hits mob to level characters.
Yeah.
So
Well, I was
we
How's
waiting
that-
to
talked about
jump
it.
in.
Yeah. How's
Because
that any relevance, Your Honor?
Well, let me jump in because Shawnee's saying this is all great and nice and whatever, 60 to
Yeah.
70 real fast. It's not very cleanly done, but you can level fast. But Frank and I spent 2.5 hours very slowly just slamming dungeons in remix, and we went from 10 to 70 in like 2.5 hours.
It would have been
So why
faster
not
if
just
you
do
didn't
that?
read all your talents as we went.
It's actually so you level so fast that like after we would do 3 dungeons back to back, and I would have 20 talents stacked up. So
And the
like, why even
reason-
bother with this?
I didn't
What a
do it the
life.
other way is I didn't want to bother destroying my level 60 character to make a level 10 character to then level.
So we did it in about 2.5 hours. I think it could have gone quicker, but
It
I'm
could have gone
curious
quicker.
to
I'm
see.
slow.
We're going to level now. I have a warrior that's level 60. You have a DK that's level 61.
gonna
I'm
It
do
like
sounds
as a
like.
level
warrior,
63
Frank?
now from just
You
the
know how to play a
shenanigans.
warrior.
Anyways, and so I'm curious to see how long it takes for us to level that from 60 to 70
Yeah,
because it'd be a good
I
piece
think
of
it's pretty
information to
fast.
tell people. I think there's only like 2.5 weeks left on Mop Remix, so don't mess around and miss out on that. It is without a doubt the fastest I've ever seen leveling done, and to a point where, go on, Shani.
I was to say, and you guys are leveling faster because you have your cape.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
Yeah.
but our cape is like just once. I've only had one character, so it's
Yeah,
not
I know
even,
you
like,
only need one
You only
to
need
make your others level faster.
Oh, okay.
But I should put a caveat that, like, obviously there are ways to level faster. I've seen YouTube videos of people, I don't want to say exploiting, but like doing crazy things to get that leveling going as fast as possible.
Frank, what we did felt like an exploit. Like
It
felt
was- yeah.
outlandish.
My point was going to be that, like, it was just running heroics back to back to back to back. You were a tank, so we got to insta queue.
Yeah, it was tank.
And you weren't even tanking. You were just kind of like,
No, I was
I kept
just
telling
trying to
you,
follow
press
whoever
W,
came
just
in.
go.
I was literally just trying to keep up with whoever came in and one shot every boss.
Yeah,
which
you
was like
got
within
lucky.
3 dungeons.
You
Yeah.
still move forward with W?
No, dude, I don't move forward with W, but I'm not gonna get into that because it's a whole conversation.
And then and of course we'd have like every so often a person who is stacked to the nines in their cloak at level 70 who I guess were doing their daily, who would just literally it'd take a minute to do a dungeon and we'd have 2 or 3 levels out of that. So yeah, it was insane.
No, I wouldn't even be able to catch up. Like I'm just running behind them trying to loot
We'd be-
everything, and every boss is killed in one hit.
We'd be locked out of rooms because of it.
We locked out half the dungeon.
All right.
It was fun, though.
Yeah, and we'll get to more of that, the current state of the game in just a second. But with the Radiant Echoes, Shani, you mentioned that there's a new movie that plays, cinematic that plays. It's really just a recap. So, jokingly here saying previously on World of Warcraft, soap opera-esque. We get a quick rundown of all the stories. Now, first off, who's seen it?
I saw it.
Yeah, cool. Everyone's seen it. Now, we've talked in the past about leveling and the incoherence about what the story is trying to tell you. This is, I think, the first time we've gotten anything like this in game, let alone that is kind of just trying to quick recap what's happening before a new expansion. Good or bad thing?
We've had similar
I
things
thought it
like
was
the
totally good.
Yeah. We've had like the Warbringer cinematics and stuff that will be like, okay, remember Ashara, you probably haven't heard of her in a million years. Here's a little rundown before Ashara is relevant,
But they
so
wouldn't
I
put
wish
that
they-
in
Yeah, they were
Go
in the game. You could see them
after
through quests.
after launch though. They were in after, not before. I don't think.
So I-
yeah, I think you're right.
I personally appreciated this effort because it caught me off guard. First of all, I was like, "Oh wait, a cinematic. Let me go and listen to this." And it kind of recapped some things that we knew. I really wish it would have dived deeper into some of the things that some of the linkages that like I don't pay attention to lore very well, but like there's so much of this apparently that Xalatath has been involved in from expansions ago that I wish they maybe would have cut into a little bit. But anyway, I mean, I liked it. It caught me off guard and I was surprised and I liked it.
Well, and it's unique because Xalatath, other than because the Lich King really wasn't even part of Burning Crusade and Vanilla. Maybe Garrosh because he was introduced but wasn't really hinted at being the true villain until Mop came out. And even then, I think we went into Mop not knowing, and they had to tell us at BlizzCon that Garrosh was going to be the final bad guy. But I've got some questions for you around that final bad guy part. But obviously, Xal'atath is a huge marketing ploy for that. I'm going to show real quick. Where is it? Yeah. Like, they're using streamers to have Xal'atath invade everyone's videos. So here's a list of all of them. And I'll see if I can quickly pull one up for you real quick.
Sure, everyone else will have missed.
I'll just show you real quick. Like, they just pretend that Xal'atath takes over the video. And, you know, great marketing plan. So I say all that because, like, Xal'atath is the star of this story. They do a lot to try to make sure we understand who she is and how she plays. But yeah, I thought it was great, even if it wasn't needed for Xal'atath because she's been in so many subtle things throughout the years. I really think they should do this more often, right?
Yeah.
Shawnee?
Yeah.
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 And alongside
Did you watch
that,
that? Sorry, mate. Did you watch that video from who was that you just showed? Zala Taliesin Nelatov or whoever the fuck that is?
Yeah.
Why is such a weird name for like? Just make it like ABC or something. It's something easy to remember. I don't know why it's so hard.
What's Tekniq mean?
That's a word everyone knows. Anyway, so man, there were so many like points that I didn't know that Xal'atath was involved in. Like when who's the rock dragon? What's his name?
Iridicron?
Iridicron. Good job. He points to Scrap.
Tekniq, where the fuck is this going?
So when Iridicron takes the little thing in his hand and he's like, I'm leaving this bitch, and walks through the portal, there's a silhouette of this sexy little dark elf in the back named Xal'atath. Anyway, I was like, wow, man. This is something I've been working on.
This is how you know this is the podcast for the rest of us, because he is just now discovering this.
Well, yeah, because I don't give a fuck about the lore.
Fair enough.
But this reached you, so that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I had a lot of time today. I drove a lot, so I had a lot of time to listen.
A lot of time to think about
You said you listened to Taliesin and Nevatel as well? Their weekly reset?
Yeah, I did. I listened to that one.
Great show,
I listened to Dratnos. I listened to a bunch of stuff. Yeah, honestly, that was the most entertaining one of the several things I watched, listened to today.
They're really good. All right. Well, we also got alongside this, not in game, but I guess through YouTube, a cinematic, the official cinematic. Now, we did have a cinematic.
Oh, I haven't watched that yet.
Anduin
and Thrall, of course. That was like the reveal cinematic. But this is supposed to be kind of giving you the hints to who the main characters of the War Within are. So we have oh god, I can't even remember her name. Look, point is that you see,
can
like,
I give you a hint?
Yeah.
40% of the new cinematic is some dark iron dwarf working out at the gym.
Yeah, doing the Mr. Incredible workout.
The Dragonflight cinematic was 4 minutes of a guy climbing up a fucking rock stick.
There was a second cinematic, remember? They had the one where they were flying dragons all over the place, and then Alex Straza joined in.
Yeah, but that was like 30 seconds at the end of it, wasn't it?
Oh, I don't think so. I'll have to go and look at that.
That was a short cinematic. Yeah, no, it was literally like 4 minutes of guy climbs building, and then at the very end, they hit you with the Dragonfly music. People are racing. There's Alex Straza. It's like, yeah, but you have to watch 4 minutes of them climbing first.
On the podcast? How long?
No, we're not going to. It's 2.5 minutes. Your max speed, yeah, sure. I can't do. No,
yeah, can you put it in reverse?
No. here's your Mr. Incredible.
Look at that hand! Wow, look how rocky he is.
But
missing an arm.
I
think it's a he, apparently.
Scrap hasn't seen this yet, but the other two have, yeah?
I haven't seen it yet, no.
Shawnee, what do you think of the cinematic?
This person, they're wild.
Oh, shit.
That
Who is that?
That was great. I always love their cinematics. I've always thought Blizzard would make a great cinematic movie. So
the cinematics have been great since Classic.
Yeah, this is a Diablo person. That's okay. They're from WoW. That's a dwarf from WoW.
He's getting the reps in. I love it.
He's trying to get Molten Core started.
Yeah,
this is now Avatar 3.
They apparently play a really big role, but they haven't been talked about a lot. I'm curious to see it.
And back to Diablo.
But anyways, I thought it was really cool cinematic. It doesn't reveal much, which I sometimes kind of hope for like a really shocking twist. There's a not Dawnbreaker, was Hallow Fall, really cool zone. But this is where all your art team was going to, Scrap.
Well, they did a good job. I love it. This troll chick is awesome. I want to know about her.
Not a troll, it's an avatar chick. Thank you.
I don't think there's avatar chicks in WoW, but I know there's trolls.
But
the armless paladin, is her shield her arm?
Yeah.
Like it attaches.
Yeah,
that is so sick.
Sticks to her breast.
And then we start getting hints towards the Nerubian raid.
It would be really cool if they add in that customization, like your character be missing an arm or a leg or something, and you can have like a cool prosthetic, like a mechanome.
Yeah, but I was gonna say I'm sure every tune would have its own skeleton. Anyways, okay, we're getting off topic. A really cool cinematic, of course, but at the end of the day, I feel like we still have a lot to learn about the expansion. It didn't really tell us much more other than maybe giving us hints of again who's going to be the main characters, and it doesn't tell us anything outside of what the first raid is obviously going to be. I'm looking forward to, because like in Battle for Azeroth, we had a ton of cinematics in game around what's his name? God, we said it last week. The guy who fought Sylvanas. The guy who fought Sylvanas.
The penguin.
No, not the.
Fought Sylvanas?
Yeah, in the Battle for Azeroth. No, no, you didn't. We did that in Shadowlands.
Oh fuck! in BFA?
It was the orc. It was the orc. The one who went.
Sourfang. I got him on my desk.
We had some really good cinematics. There you go, Sourfang. We had some really good cinematics. I apologize. I feel like I'm all over the place with this fever.
You're fine. It's gonna be a fun time. People get the information just sporadically.
The thing is that like we had really good cinematics for that, but I don't like everything kind of switched over to in-game cinematics. Where they use the in-game engine, and I miss.
Yeah, but you know what? The in-game ones look really good still. I mean, remember like the one from Wrath of the Lich King, where it's like just his mouth moving, and it's like to look at that and to see the in-game cinematics now and how often we get them. I love the in-game animation.
They are really good.
I agree, but Blizzard cinematics are second to none. I mean, they are the best cinematics.
They are, but
available.
like the designs obviously are different. They're done by like a different art team. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if it's the case currently, but they have like cinematic. Sorry?
Don't say anything negative.
No, I'm not saying. Fuck you. I'll say whatever I want negative. I'm just speaking the truth. But like, it's always been bothered me a little bit how
trying
it's
to
like
track the F-bombs this week.
Sylvanas' character like design in like the cinematic looks really different from how she looks in the game. And same with like Sourfang and any character really. They have a completely different design, and I think that's good. That's like the creative liberty of like each team. But I think it is a little bit immersion breaking when they switch to like this totally different style when the in-game animation style is great. So that's just my opinion.
Well, I don't disagree that the in-game animation is getting better by the video, it seems.
Yeah.
Now all I can think about is the people who took the in-game animation, and that filter that makes people make that like silly face where they're just like, oh, you can't see my face right now. But anyways, they're applying it to the in-game filters, and now it's all I see over Twitter.
You have to send me that. That sounds so funny.
It was actually pretty funny. It was just Khadgar and Illyria and all that stuff. All right, let's keep moving on. So, trading post for August has been revealed. Scrap, you're our resident trading expert.
I already bought the 2 mounts. I think they look amazing.
It's already out. I forgot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's out today. Of course, the first thing I do is check trading posts. The wings, I'm not that into, but for somebody's character, they have a little fairy twink or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, you're more of a furry,
exactly.
not a fairy, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, cool, nice.
Jesus, look at
weapons.
that Kel'Sarar they reintroduced to the game.
It's bigger though. That looks bigger than the.
It doesn't look as big compared to my character, so I don't know. Maybe if they took the size down.
Did you buy that as well?
Murloc, everybody loves those.
Cool Murloc.
This Stormrider's hammers. It doesn't. Does it have that glowing effect when you like use it or something? Because looking at the trading post, it didn't have the glowing effect. I was kind of like, oh, lame. But they're one-handers, so eh.
You might have to be like a really cool player to get the glowing effect. It might be something. I'll try it. I'll see if I can get it.
I didn't want to spend the money because I'm really low on Trader's Tender because I haven't been playing as much, and I've been spending a lot, so I'm low.
Well, the good news for value keeps rolling in for you, Scrap. They finally decided to give you maybe not necessarily a refund, but they are giving everyone 1 day worth of game time for extended downtime back when the patch 11.0 hit.
That's nice.
Now, Tekniq, in pre-show, you kind of talked about this for a second. Actually, sorry, I should say, it's been a while since they've done this. I felt like they had to do this back in vanilla and BC.
Or something?
Yeah, they just moved the data down.
And I think they did it in WAD.
Yeah, they did in WAD because the launch was a shit show.
Yeah, because you couldn't zone into your garrison, or it just froze the game for like an hour.
Yeah, for like 4
an hour.
days.
It was like it was like days.
No, but like every time you try to log in, you wouldn't be able to get back in for like an hour. It was just horrible. It was like day on day.
But
that was the only release that I took like time off work, and I've never taken time off work ever since.
To me, this kind of feels like when Apple loses data for 50 million people and everyone gets 6 pennies. Like, no one gives a fuck. I don't understand why. Like, okay, I got a day worth of game time. I've been playing your game for 20 years. You gave me a day. I mean, whatever. Who cares? That's how I feel about it. Right. I mean, they could literally have just said sorry, and it has the same impact to me. I would rather have 13 gold on my character than a day of game time.
I did quick math.
Sorry, I think it's
did quick math, and I thought about the same thing. I was like, well, why didn't they just give gold? Because that would be, I mean, obviously, the other side from
I'd way rather have gold. Fuck.
So the equivalent of gold that you should have been given, because the token's going for about 300,000 right now, would be about 10,000 gold. So you'd rather have the 10,000 gold than the 1 day game time.
10,000
1,000 times I'd rather have 10,000 gold.
But I'm a broke bitch, so.
I mean, I really just in my head came up with that analogy, but it literally is the same thing. It's like when you know, Spectrum fucks with your data, and all of a sudden there's a class action lawsuit, and everyone gets a couple of dollars. Like, it just doesn't make a difference to anyone. I mean, I don't even cash the check because.
I'm not.
To get the check, you have to sign up for it, though. Technique.
No, you don't. And not. I mean,
you don't auto join a class action lawsuit.
You have to, man. You're in a bad mood today.
He's in a
they gave you a day, and you're in a bad mood.
This isn't a hill worth climbing on. It's not even a hill worth climbing.
You were sick yesterday.
Oh no, I definitely owe you 10,000 gold too for making you have to do the podcast today instead of yesterday. I apologize.
Yeah. Look on my schedule.
While we're on the subject, before we move on to more of like the beta stuff, I did want to talk about the current state of the game. So we've talked about leveling a little bit. Mop Remix is obviously a great place to level, but it also sounds like the retail game is still great, especially since, if in case Tekniq forgot, it's a 75% reduction in experience needed to level from 60 to 70. Sorry, I just read this. And I just was curious what else has stood out from you about the 11.0 patch. I will start us off by saying warbanks have already annoyed me. Now, this is aside from the fact that they were broken to start with. That wasn't, like you said, I can be forgiving because it was a feature we didn't have. It wasn't like it was given to us and taken away. We still just didn't get it for a week. That's okay. But I put all my gold in the warbank thinking, like, this is a great idea. I can, just, because I was under the impression that you'd be able to just spend from the warbank.
We're getting into the old man yells at cloud segment, huh?
What? Well, I just was so annoyed because I was like, what's the point of putting all your gold? It just saves me from having to log into another tune to send the gold. Mm-hmm. And I thought there'd be more, like, make it like a credit card where it just, like, kind of deducts from your, I don't know.
Credit's too low.
Like a shared bank account?
Yeah.
So
man, that's my biggest regret in life is sharing my bank account, man.
So this past week, I've just been kind of doing a couple little things. I looked at like some mounts I wanted to Dragonflight and just trying to work on some like little achievements. And I've noticed some nice things with warbands and warbanks is that like if you completed a quest on another character, there's a little text at the bottom that says like, oh, someone in your warband has already completed this quest. Yep. So any progress towards any achievements you already have credit for, basically. And I was like, oh, that's really nice. And the warbanks, like
just reminded me of Jiminy Glick. Oh, that's really nice.
The one thing I was a little bit disappointed in is I wanted to have a place for like all my collectibles on all my characters in one place. I thought I would be able to use it for that. But there's a lot of collectible items I couldn't move over. Like, for example, like gear that I've held on to and just kept in banks. Like I have like the jailer's mace and some like cool legendaries and things that are just like taking up bank space on my alts. And I was like, oh, I can kind of like put that all like on display. Now you can't move any gear over unless I'm guessing it's the new stuff, like the warband stuff.
That you can, yeah.
Yeah,
so there was very limited things that I could move over, actually. I'm guessing it's going
to be... It has to be a specific item.
Yeah.
Yeah, reagents are one of the big things. And
yeah. I'm guessing. I mean, it seems like the stuff that you can move over is stuff that you'd reasonably want to send between characters. But I was like, oh, I kind of wish there was like a feature for just like a display tab or something, so I could look at all my collectibles. But that's such a niche application, and I totally understand.
Well, and I mean, toys and all that should already be like the toys and the
toys,
transmons.
Frank. They're coins that I fished out of Down.
Oh yeah, okay, I forgot about those.
And I can't move them.
Yeah, you've shown said coins on the podcast before.
Well, that's the thing. I showed you one character's bank, but I did this coin thing on multiple characters because because I'm crazy and I wanted to put them all in one place. Because between multiple characters, I have the full set. So, I'll write a letter or something. Maybe there's one other person on the planet who has this desire to see all their collectibles in one place, But I like the warbands, I like the warbanks. My characters are really cute around the fire. I'm excited to have more backgrounds.
And the thing that I think confused me as to why I thought money worked that way is because reagents will work that way. If you have them in your bank, they'll pull directly from your war bank, which is still that's really a good quality of life feature. But still, I was so angry. Tekniq.
Yeah, I wish the gold did.
Yeah,
work
what's up,
that way.
buddy?
What have you enjoyed so far about pre-patch?
Not anything. Not one thing.
He's only had no enjoyment. You've
played a little more. I mean, less hardcore.
I'll tell you why. For whatever reason, look, this is kind of a long story. Is the podcast ready? Do you want to hear it or not?
We're ready.
I want to hear it.
Okay. All right. So I was working, and I went to I went to get my. It's a long story. I try to tell you.
Okay.
I went to get my oil changed, and the person said, "Hey, what's your phone number?" I gave her my phone number, and then she goes to verify the rest of my information. She provides my email address. It's an old email address that I've had 20 fucking years ago in college. I said, "That's not current." Fast forward to the evening, I go to recover that email address because I'm curious. It's an old email address I haven't looked at in a long time. I go to recover it. I recover it. I gain access. I look into my old emails. There's a lot of shit in there you probably don't want to hear about. But I come across a conversation with an old guildie from a long time ago named Morik. So, I'm not going to get into that because I'm going to try and keep this short. Anyway, I'm like, oh, wow, that was a good laugh, this conversation with Morik. I look on the Blizzard BattleNet. I see Morik online. I'm like, hey, Morik, blah, 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 blah. I tell him the story I just told you, but in more detail. Have a good conversation, have a good laugh. And then I say, hey, join our guild. And he goes, yeah, why not? I said, oh, shit, great. I get to play with Morik again. That's why I've been playing more, because my buddy Morik's on. And just to recap, Morik is the... So on my server, I've been playing for a long time. I'm old, as you guys can tell. He helped me to become the first Horde Paladin on Daggerspine when Burning Crusade launched. He re-rolled a priest and leveled with me from 1 to 70, if I'm not mistaken.
60 to 70, right?
No, we made new characters. I was Horde Paladin Blood Elf.
That's a real friend.
How did you make it to how we were first then?
I was everyone that wanted to be a Horde Paladin made a new Blood
you were the
Elf.
First Horde Paladin. Okay.
Yeah. So I leveled from 1 to 70, and because of his assistance and our Mountain Dew addiction and taking time off of work, we leveled from 1 to 70. We were the first. Well, I was the first with his help. 70 Horde Paladin on Daggerspine.
Can I recap something really quick?
Yeah.
So you have been playing WoW more because you don't have to play with us.
No, just because I have another buddy to play. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Shawnee's checking his phone right now. He's
what was the topic, Frank? Because I'm completely.
It's the current state of WoW. We'll move on.
Well, actually, I think it was relevant to the current state of Tekniq.
I was listening, but I was answering messages.
That's why
this episode is literally so unhinged.
That's okay.
So as far as the pre-patch, I've just been kind of taking advantage of the XP bonus. I did level a couple of my alt tunes that I regrettably still have. Leveled my paladin from 69 to 70 in about 7 minutes, and then I leveled my warlock a little bit. I probably hit the mage too, because.
So leveling is the name of the game for a lot of us so far.
Yep.
Yeah.
Shawnee, have you done any leveling?
Yeah, I have. I got my mage from 60 to 70 and
mage.
Frost mage. I'm gonna do my shaman next because they're 60, and then after that'll be my. I think I get one other 60, and then I get in remix. I get a level demon hunter and a monk.
Well, Frank, when we were leveling, I mean, I heard you fell deeply in love with survival hunter, which is
no,
great.
it was boring as shit. I didn't even know what the hell I was doing. I want to revisit a conversation we had last week. I'm showing it on camera, but you guys can't see it. I've got a chocolate hat here. I've yet to have to eat my hat because they have not done the paladin talent tree back in. It does look like, whether they're being stubborn or not, they are sticking to their guns, or whether this was actually intended. Do you guys want to take a quick look at the meta and how it's changed from week to week?
Yeah, let's have a glance at it.
Okay, so this is what the meta looked like going into last week. Or I should say pre-patch, right? Or pre-patch. And Shadow Priest, of course, was at the top. Fire Mage was
Yeesh,
closer.
what's that at the bottom?
Survival Hunter. Don't worry,
that's you and your 30 buddies, Scrap.
Yeah.
30. Yeah, 30. Is that the lowest count? Yep,
Wait,
it is the lowest count.
Week? That's this week?
No, this
That's
was before 11.0.
2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And
that makes sense.
This is what it looks like now. So we got.
Let's say we just got a nice little rework. Come
actually,
on.
let me refresh this because it might have updated. Okay, no, it didn't. So yeah, now we've got Frost, or just both Death Knights crushing, Warriors crushing, Rep Paladins back on top, which they didn't even get their talent
when did they
tree.
leave top?
Speaking for Warriors, feels fucking good
they were
too,
B.
man. I'm in like all tank gear and doing right about that 770 ish when I'm doing keys, man. It feels fucking
770
good.
what?
K 770K per second.
Have you seen that, Frank?
I literally did like 3 or 4 keys with Mork the other day as arms. With Danny
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I thought you did it as prot, and I was like, "What are you talking about?"
Nah, and I'm fucking just demolishing his arms. It's like redonkulous.
Yeah, they are, for the most part, in a better term, broken.
And for those of you that are not like in the MDL here that know me, I don't ever play arms. I'm terrible at arms.
I wouldn't say you're that bad at it, but okay.
Well, thanks, Frank.
But
I'm not very good. I don't play. Yeah. I just follow I just do the thing.
He does just the Hakili.
Yeah, that's true.
With a little bit of twist. Anyway,
maybe we even have. Yeah, we have a little update for early this week.
Yeah, Furious.
But you can see all the hunters. Although survival seems to be the worst of them. Scrap. I'm sorry.
No, it takes a minute to pick it up. It's like they completely changed it. It takes a while to learn.
There's literally 140 people in the world that play Survival Hunter, apparently.
It's not. This is a run.
making me a little sad to see Arcane Enhancement teetering right above AUG, which is depressing. These
don't seem like very big sample sizes, Frank. I think we can.
Well, it was.
No one's playing.
It was.
Yeah,
what are you talking about? No one's playing.
What do you mean?
I feel like everyone's playing right now.
Comprehend that statement.
Pre-patch is busy. I've been crushing keys all week.
I don't know why, but
to test out the new talent trees.
Yeah. Okay.
Why
is Petalin so high?
I don't know.
Okay.
because they were given the tools to be successful. I don't. You remember though that some people, some classes are benefiting from the fact that there was a stat. What's the opposite of a squish? A stat expansion, where they were given higher stats values that were there weren't there before. So that could be part of it.
Monk seems to be dragging behind, and they got like the biggest revamp in that case, didn't they?
Elemental got a huge revamp, and they're doing well. But Monk is still being tuned. We'll talk about that in a second on the beta.
Those are in the beta, yeah. I don't think they got many changes on live this week.
We'll see.
I could be wrong.
I feel like tank damage is really low though, because I feel like it's not hard to do that kind of tank damage, especially in massive pools for 10s and whatnot. But
did they?
What an average of 248?
Yeah,
I never get as low as 248.
Yeah, well,
I'm way over 248.
Yeah, well, you're not listed here.
Okay, we'll see. 248.
I'm not joking.
You do a lot of DPS as a tank, but
248 though.
I'm probably approaching like 280, 290 average every key I do.
Shawnee, have you done any keys as Rhett?
Yep, I have, but I'm only like 505. I have a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Damn, you quit early.
No, well, like I stopped, but then I just didn't get any gear, and I never got the legendary weapon. I was just like, eh. But yeah, no, I'm keeping up with like some of the other people I'm in. I'm only like 20k DPS behind them. So
Yeah. So it's good either way.
Yeah.
Let's get into beta changes, man. I want to see.
Well, let's just talk
what
real
is that?
quick.
Next?
One
Okay.
last thing.
Okay.
We got another podcast joining the WoW podcast scene. For those who don't know, Tettles, Growl, and Squishy have started a new podcast called The Bench. Normally, I'd be very... Huh?
Is Growl the cat?
Yeah, so Growl is a cat, as is Dorky. Dorky's also played as a cat.
Nice.
That's their
It's so talented,
avatars.
a cat who plays WoW.
I think Roar would fit in well with this group of people.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because
He's
it's
a
Growl and
cat.
Roar.
Cats,
Just
well, that,
just
but
their
also
names.
he's just spamming cat memes all the time.
This
That is true.
podcast
He does like
is
your. I
so-
forgot about his cat memes. But I just wanted to say, like, check them out if you haven't already seen it. It's nice that podcasts are kind of having a renaissance, anyways. I hope it doesn't get too crowded for us to still survive, but we've been doing well for ourselves. Let's hope that they have the same success. I do like the name of the bench, though. I think they named it that way because they usually are guest hosts on the Poddy C, which is like the big podcast. And I guess that they are playing at the idea that they're the
I thought
second.
we were the big podcast.
I wish. I wish.
In my mind, yeah.
We don't get those kind of numbers.
We don't. We're too unhinged.
All right. Let's talk about beta.
Beta.
So we have a lot to talk about in beta. We'll go through some of
Start at the
the.
bottom.
I knew you were going to be excited about this. I knew you were going to be excited about this.
Well, dude, I
so
had shit positive to say like all season about Warriors, and finally, like it's like, oh,
big
something.
takeaways. It looks like well, I'll talk about the tanks in a second, but Pharaoh's gotten some buffs. Guardian Moonbear is maybe dead. Augmentation has been nerfed. I'll just go and pull that up because that's like the big takeaway from this is augmentation's been nerfed.
Augment's been nerfed to the ground.
So you saw it? So
yeah, well, I heard
Ebon
people
Might,
talking about it. I didn't see it.
Ebon Might was effectively reduced by 20%.
20%.
Yep. And closest clutch mates, which is effectively makes it, I think, 50% more effective in 5-man groups, is gone. So it won't benefit the 5-man scene as much. Now, rumor is that it's still, because of all the defensive value it adds to the group, it's still going to be a meta spec. But this definitely is neutering it pretty heavily in that area. I think Scrap Survival got some nerfs yet. Mostly nerfs, it looks
No,
like.
some buffs, yeah.
Some buffs, yeah, but mostly nerfs. 75% flanking damage on the pet. Arcane is like a wash. They like buffed and nerfed things. I think they're just trying to make mastery
They're
better.
balancing, right?
Yeah. Windwalker, some big buffs, it looks like. Most of the healers got some buffs as well, for the most part, again. And then the tanks. So the big takeaway for the tanks is they're trying to increase the damage done, hopefully to help with the threat generation. But I've never seen a flat buff than I have for... Oh, by the way, Elemental, I think, got nerfed pretty heavily. Than I have for Warriors, Prot Warriors. So Prot Warriors...
Go up a little bit.
Yeah, so Prot Warriors got a shield slam buff of 8%, not a big deal. But
Hold
melee...
on, don't skip by the Colossus Protection Arm.
Well, I've purposely not been talking a lot about the hero talents because hero talents are like still in a state of flux. But if you want to call something out, by all means, go for it.
Well, I was just gonna say, first of all, my opinion on more damage to tanks. I disagree with what most podcasters are saying. Right, like everyone else is like, oh, more damage for tanks, it's a good thing. I don't really care. I mean, yeah, looking at details is exciting to say, like, oh, I did good damage. All that aside, I will never reject Prot Warrior buff. I mean, fucking finally, because every single tank on this list got a buff, just like a flat percent buff. Please scroll back up.
Well,
you want to just hand them the mouse.
And then like Prot Warriors, like we got the flat buff, and then like everything else is buff too, which is fucking.
So on average, Blood got a 10% buff, and the other, so Vengeance, Brew, Prot Pally got a 15% buff. Guardian got a 20% buff, but they did nerf other things, it looks like. And then Protection Warriors flat buffed 30%. Oh, and by the way, Revenge by 25%, Execute by 50%, Devastating
Shield Slam
damage.
by 8%. Title Battle increases damage of Revenge by 10%. Used to be 5 per stack. Practice strikes increase damage on mortal strike by 15%. Mountain and muscle scars increase all damage by 4 instead of 5%. Okay, so I'm losing a percent of damage in my hero talents. Dominance of the Colossus increased damage dealt to target by 20%. Used to be 10%. Everything is just dramatically buffed. It looks like arms was nerfed, and that I'm not excited about. But whatever.
But based on how they're performing right now, that might not be surprising.
Below the blanket 30%.
I tried, but you kept telling me to scroll up.
Yeah, scroll down now. He needs to scroll down.
Melee and all ability damage increased by 30%. Revenge damage 25%. Execute damage 50%. Devastator, that's your passive like melee swing 25%. Shield charge, primary target 25%, and Ravager 25%. I mean, it's just a big buff. I don't know that it was even necessary because I haven't really been playing beta a lot. Due to some real life stuff going on, I just haven't been playing a lot lately. But I mean, hell, any damage increase is great. And just looking at the numbers and the changes to the other tanks, this is the biggest buff tank. The biggest
by far.
Yeah,
it's one of the biggest buffs I've ever seen as a simple or a 1 week change. You know.
Yeah.
I don't even know that it was even warranted. I mean, it's like, wait, what? But I mean, like I said, I'm not gonna fucking say anything bad about it.
They heard you bitching about it last week.
So, that they didn't have any changes at all. One line.
Nothing.
Yep.
It was
one
like
thing. One thing I don't have listed here, but the other thing that's happening finally is the dungeons are getting tuned. Most notably, the tank smashers. Right. So, I'm looking to see if it's in here. No, it's not. All the tank busters are either getting nerfed, and they didn't give a percentage of what it was nerfed by. I'm going to actually play some beta this weekend and hopefully get a better idea of it. Yep. But they also are making some things blockable. So, like I said last week, I think that I feel like they're in that kind of now tuning phase. It's a little surprising how all over the place they are, but that might be that they were just kind of holding off on doing some of these things. But 20% and 25% buffs for other specs, let alone 30 for a prop warrior, is just a little out there. But at the end of the day, I guess it really doesn't matter until the launch of, I'm not even say the launch of the game, like the launch of season 1. I don't really care if it's unbalanced enough before season 1, but once we get into Mythic Plus, that's where I care. But I wanted to take a second and look at the new updated MetaMeta. So this is where we currently stand with all the meta lists that you see out there in YouTube. They were surprisingly...
Wait, has it changed since last week?
Yes, it has. I've got the biggest winners and losers if you want me to tell you what has changed the most. Now, granted...
Yeah, tell me what changed the most because I see the bottom and the top look the same to me.
Well, there's a couple people who are missing from the top and the bottom, but I will say that this is not with the changes that were just made. So this is as of, I want to say Wednesday morning, maybe. But the biggest winners so far, Preservation has jumped 11 spaces. Windrunner, Windwalker's 9 spaces. Rhett jumped 8 spaces. Prot Warrior jumped 1. I wanted to let you know about that Tekniq. You've jumped 1 space. Now, granted, that may drastically change.
Is that augmentation in the S slot?
Yes.
Or is that
It's
preservation?
That's augmentation.
That's aug. It was there last week.
Someone doesn't know what they're doing here.
That's everyone. This is an
literally
aggregate.
Every single person saying aug is number 1. Arcane almost fell out. But a couple of late submissions.
This list was clearly manufactured by...
Serve jumped 5 spots scrap, so I hope you are happy about that.
I see.
Resto Druid, which was S tier, dropped down to A tier, 10 spots. Blood DK dropped 10 spots. Demo dropped 9 spots, and Mistweaver dropped 9 spots. So those are our biggest winner and losers for the week. We will continue to update this based on... By the way, I don't have the data in front of me. I need to kind of get this next week, but the erratic nature of all these tier lists only further solidifies they are absolute nonsense. I cannot begin to tell you how many times I saw on one list, enhancement S tier, and on the next list it was like F tier. Don't ever play it, you idiot, kind of thing. It's just like, what on earth are content creators doing out there? Because maybe it's just me. Like, I think credibility matters, and making an idiot tier list just seems stupid.
Speaking of credibility,
go on.
What is that spring-loaded dagger-looking thing at the bottom of the C tier? What is that?
That's Outlaw.
What? It's a rapier.
Outlaw though, I think got some.
A rapier.
Outlaw got some buffs, I think. Yeah, Outlaw got some not near as big of buffs as Prot Warrior did, but yeah, they got some buffs.
Yeah.
But I mean, let's just remind the people what this tier list is. It's an aggregate score of
It's the meta
all
meta.
Yeah,
it's all the tier lists that we ever come across. If you want to send us some, please do. This is not our tier list.
Yeah, no. I just want to make it clear that we're not participating in the tier list shenaniganry. We're just putting a spotlight on it and talking about it. So.
And how honestly how trash it is.
I like talking about it. I love trash TV. Tier lists are equally fun to.
It is fake news at its best, and what I hope to do is prove that by once the season starts, we actually get the meta breakdown and see how bad everyone was at predicting this. Augmentation's obviously the wild card because it's really hard to predict. But
Prot Warrior is in the S tier is obviously.
No, this was before they buffed it.
He doesn't care. It's irrelevant to him. He's still wondering why
it's always been in the S tier. It's always been in the S tier.
Okay, we'll make a tier list and we'll add it to the aggregate score.
I'll make a tier list. There will be one thing on it. It'll be in the S category.
That's great.
What is it, Tekniq?
What is it?
Augmentation Warrior.
There you go. People pleaser.
So, what I'm going to be curious about is if people update their tier list, because there was one person who did update their tier list. Again, just driving those clicks, I guess, but at the same time, what is it all for?
Yeah.
Clicks, dude, you just said it. Let's get them clicks.
It's fun. It's interesting.
All right, we'll just start doing our own tier list weekly.
I said it before. Tier lists help me sort people. Whereas, like, if I see like people playing all the stuff at the top of the tier list, I'm like, I know what you're doing. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, no, that is true. That is true that you can spot some of the.
Yeah, I know.
That's why I never take Shadow Priest last season. It's because they were all playing the flavor of the week, and they all were terrible.
In like the 10+ scene is where you have to be really afraid of those kind of like top of the tier list.
Something like I wish like every single class like maybe I'm fucking wrong on this, okay, but like what they did with Augmentation Evoker was make them a support class hardcore, and I wish that like support abilities like Shadow Priest, Vampiric Embrace was more important, and things like Wind Fury was like more important. I wish every class in the DPS realm had something that was more relevant as a support ability.
Battle Shout.
Yeah. Well, maybe not Battle Shout, but like Battle Shout lasts 60 minutes now or whatever it lasts. Yeah. But like Commanding Shout or whatever it is, the heal thing that we get.
Yeah.
I like that ability a lot because if you use it at the right time, it's like fucking chef's kiss. It's great. I wish they did more of that and less of like I don't know, the Augmentation standing out as the only class that's like the hardcore support class is kind of strange.
So you two things. You're saying that they need to commit to more support classes.
No.
More support.
I think more support abilities. It's great, like playing a Shadow Priest and doing sick ass damage, but having the ability to run Vampiric Embrace in the key moments where it's necessary feels good, and like having Word of Glory as a paladin where you can spot heal when it's meaningful feels good, and like health stones feels good. All that shit like that.
Yeah.
Feels
but
good.
You don't worry that it would cause this vicious cycle of only certain, because no one can make all of them as good as each other, right?
Well, sure, it doesn't have to.
Hence why Augmentation is already so fucking good anyways.
Well, they went all the way out in left field with Augmentation, and that's what's fucked them up, because now they're the only class that really is played that way. And so it's like, and unless they're going to introduce like 3 or 4 other classes that play that way,
and you don't want that.
No, I don't. I personally don't want
Shawnee,
a support only class.
I want. Yeah, I mean, I've always said if they're not gonna, for me, money wise, spent on the game, I would really like. If they're not gonna bring out a whole new class every expansion or whatever, I would love them to add more sub specs to all the classes that are already there.
I love the idea of having the option of you know, like what we do with Og now is like you take a tank and a healer, and you take 2 DPS and a support, you know, or you could take 3 DPS, and they should be comparable and able and balanced and able to tackle the same things. I understand that's difficult, but it would be cool if there was more support classes to pick from that have different playstyles. They might fit in with different comps better, as opposed to just like having this one support thing that is just leagues above everything else.
Yeah, I feel like
That's my opinion.
different. They already kind of have it built into the game. Things like Death Knights could give like a passive or like an
Like a
aura
disgrace.
that gives life steal, you know, for a short period of time. Things like that. That it's not completely passive, but things that are impactful in moments where it can be useful. Vampiric
Not to
Embrace is
go-
a good example.
I feel like that's a problem though, because now you have like, for example, druids that are always in the top groups because of Purple Paw. And that like
by that
again,
you mean Mark of the Wild?
Yeah.
Okay, great, excellent. That's
so
a
like-
super
so-
passive
so-
ابility that you buff once and you sit there and wait. Okay,
It's strong- strong
his
enough-
thing. It has big impact.
it's
does.
strong enough to make it that
Does. You want it in the
they're
group.
in one way or another brought to a
Yeah.
dungeon.
yeah, and that's fine. But I feel like abilities like Vampiric Embrace as a Shadow Priest right now, it doesn't feel like super awesome to pop it. It feels I helped a little bit. You know, I did what I could, type of thing. At least that's my perspective. I don't know. I don't really play
So
Shadow Priest.
That
but
leads into the defensive bloat argument, because then if they make that stronger, they'd have an arms race of making the dungeons harder.
No, I mean, in my dream, I don't want to build on to Tekniq's, is that it would be balanced in that you're losing a DPS for a support class.
So force the
it needs to be
support,
that good.
and then add support
No,
specs.
is that you could have many options. Like you could run a tank, a healer, a support, 2 DPS. Maybe you could even run a tank, 2 support, 2 DPS, like no healer, and the supports like count as the healer or something like that. I think it could be interesting to play around. I mean, you don't see the vision, but
yeah, so
we've been doing tank, healer, 3 DPS for so long. They're trying to throw something new into here. I'm like, you know, I like the idea of a support class. I think they've really tried to jam a square peg into a round hole with it a little bit. They need to make a square hole, like, for it to fit into. That's what in my mind.
I can get behind that idea. Now, granted, I don't know if everyone loves the idea of having that 1-1-1-2 like layout, but let's just say for the sake of argument,
that would be balanced so that you could have 3 DPS or you could have 2 support.
I don't like the idea, because then again, it's like, well, do you even have a tank? Do you have 5 DPS that just try to kite and bounce everything between each other?
Yeah,
you know?
5 DPS.
I think
is cool.
every DPS should have a way to help the group. You look at like arcane mages, you get this cool little group bubble.
All mages have, yeah.
I don't know mages very much.
Everybody does have some way to help the group. It's
yeah,
not always
but what I'm saying right now is it's not
some
super
group-wide
effective.
defensive.
Right now, like the bubble that the mages gives is like nobody gives a fuck. It doesn't fucking matter. It absorbs like 10 damage.
I mean, Tekniq,
It
you're
reduces
totally
magic damage by
ignoring things like
25%.
you're
Nobody
talking
gives a
about
fuck.
things that are
telling
just you don't give
Nobody
a fuck.
gives a-
I mean,
I think that's an uneducated point, but okay.
it is an
I'm very
uneducated point, because
educated, thank
we build our groups
I
around.
went to Harvard.
We build our groups around, do we have a battle res? Do we have a heroism? You know,
I get
those
that.
are what you're
Everyone's
talking
got a battle
about.
res though. You know, like
No,
half
it's
the
not
classes
so.
have a battle res.
It's not
The
so.
only class that doesn't do shit for anybody's warrior. That's all.
No, you have
What's Commanding Shout.
Rallying cry.
Yeah, or Rallying Cry.
What?
Sorry,
Rallying Cry?
Rallying
Yeah.
cry is exactly what you're talking about. It's a huge benefit to the group.
I wish so all those types of abilities that are on such a great cooldown, things like Vampiric Embrace and whatever the mage shitty hole bubble is, and the
Which just
commanding
got
shout,
nerfed
rallying
to
shout.
2 minutes, or from 2 minutes to 3 minutes.
Yeah, all that stuff, you know, I feel like could be more impactful, and then we can get rid of AUG and make them like a DPS class that has a couple of group benefiting.
I think step backwards, not step
all
forward.
right, next page, next tab, go ahead.
No, but here's the problem, because if you do that, again, the arms race comes back in, and yeah, like, they either make things harder, which means that they're not as impactful as you want them to be, or they don't make things harder, and then all those classes that have that are required, and everything else that doesn't is not even allowed.
I'm saying every class should have something, is all I was trying to say. Every class should have something that benefits the group.
I think
feel
in
like
the
every
topic
class does have something.
to a degree. I think
To a degree, yeah.
I think the big thing is that if they were to do another support class, I don't think it'd be easy to come up with multiple support like variants to how it supports.
I don't think so.
But,
there's multiple kinds of healers, multiple kinds of tanks.
Well, no, but at the end of the day, the healers do the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
What I was going to suggest,
the support class would do the same thing. They would just have different utility. Like they'd maybe a melee support class or like something like that.
Well, my point was going to be, Scrap, was that was that you were upset that AUG was an S tier.
Yeah, you're the one who derailed it. I want to hear the point, Frank.
So I think the buffs should be the same for every support role. That way they don't have to worry about balancing because they just balance them all at once. But the playstyle would be entirely different, right? So like, they've always talked about like a time weaving mage that would maybe be a support class. Well, that's effectively what augmentation has turned into. But like they could continue that theme, but like make the playstyle entirely different.
That's how I would do it too, Frank. Oh, it's a cat. That's how I do it, Frank.
Tail.
But I wouldn't make it so that everything is the same. Like I would make it so like okay, like maybe this support class focuses more on like healing support, or like, and then this one has like shorter cooldowns for damage cooldowns, or this one's about buffing one person more, and this one's more about buffing two people. Like there would be enough variance in my mind. Of course, in my mind, it would be perfectly balanced. But yeah, there's definitely difficulty there.
All right, Tekniq's got a picture of a cat. Shawnee, anything you want to add?
That's really cute, Tekniq. It's a good cat.
I guess I would be happy if there was more support classes or specs or whatever. I think it'd be interesting just to add more. I'm for it.
Well, we had a lot of things to talk about that were negative from the beta changes. In fact, one of them was reverted before.
I love negativity. Let's get into that.
Yeah. So they buffed crafted gear to go up to 636, which I think is like two. Oh yeah, it's like the equivalent of Myth Track 2. So you're upset about this Tekniq?
No, I'm not actually. I mean,
this is what was a big problem with. I'm not going to blame this on Tettles because he didn't necessarily bring it up, but it was like a part of the problem that he was upset about, which was you have to be a Mythic Raider. Well, this at least levels some of the playing field there. And we were going to. Well, any other thoughts on this before I move on?
Wait, no. But crafted gear in Dragonflight, it would cap at 6 out of 6 Mythic, right? Like it would be the highest.
No. Crafted gear was. I want to say like right now it's like 535 and the highest is like 538 or something like that. 528 and maybe 535. I don't know. It's a couple. True? It's a couple notches down.
It is a couple. I don't think
it's definitely a couple notches down. I know for a fact it's a couple notches down. I want to say it's 2 to 3 tracks down. Because I've always sat there and said like, oh, I really should replace this, but I don't know how powerful the what do they call that?
Then this is like a non-change. This is just we're doing the same thing.
This is reverting it back to so you can see it's 5 out of 6 myth track. So it's one tier below what the top level myth track is. And that's not that's not to say there aren't ultra rares or whatever they are that would be higher item level than that.
Yeah, of course, that you get out of the mythic grade.
That's fine. We were also going to talk about, because I was surprised I didn't even see videos about this yet, but they had made a change where the dungeon would only drop hero 1 out of 6 gear from 7 to 10. So effectively, running a 7 versus running a 10 wouldn't make a difference on your gear at the end of the run. It only make a difference on your vault. They reverted this change, so I think 9 and 10 now will give you 2 out of 6. But I was surprised I didn't see a lot of blowback on this, because I'm sure there was, but they just didn't make big noise about it. Because this would have meant like gearing up would have cost more aspects than it already currently did. I don't know. Do you guys really seem to care if they're making us slow down the way we level up our items?
I like the slowdown. It's fair enough, because like at the end of the day, I'm only competing with you guys. Like,
yeah.
Like I'm not trying to compete like in a lot of pugs and stuff like that. And so if we're all going at the same pace, it doesn't really bother me. I'm not pushing world first. I'm not trying to get title and stuff like that. So it just means that I get to gear. I don't have to switch to an alt as quickly because I've capped gear. And it's not that drastic. Like 1 to 6, 2 to 6 to 1 to 6, or that mythic starts at 1 out of 6 as opposed to 4 out of 6. Like it gives you a couple more weeks of gearing. It's not that big of a deal. I don't know why everybody thinks it's such a big deal.
Well, to me, like, it's hard to think outside of the box for me, because like we're blessed with this community of players that, like, if I need to find a group, I just like hit you guys up, and there's a group or 2 or 3 ready to go.
It's definitely different. Like when I was playing in BFA and playing in Legion, it was like I didn't have a guild, I didn't have anyone. I had Leo, and he played for a week, and then I'd just plug, but I didn't think about finding a guild because I just thought all guilds were terrible at the time, especially on my server. And so I just kind of always stayed at running +2s and +3s. And then once BFA ended, I started kind of getting more competitive. We then played Shadowlands. The community we built started coming together. And then on top of that, we started raiding together. We had more consistent, and it was I cannot express how much having a guild / community to play with has changed the way I enjoy this game.
That's how the game is supposed to be played. It's unfortunate that a lot of people don't get the experience, but I think that's what made the game great originally. It was 40-man raids and having to go to the meeting stone to get your friends. And
Can we shamelessly plug our new cross-faction, cross-server guild?
Yep. If you want a guild, join our Discord through mythicdungeonleague.com. I'll repeat this at the end, don't worry. You can join our Discord, and then I'm going to be, as far as I know, yeah. Just run more dungeons so we get more gold.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is that it's okay. So, for example, Destiny 2. I didn't play Destiny 2 for very long because I wanted to do the raids. They sounded cool and they sounded really great. You needed 6 people to play with to do that. And I just had no idea where to even start looking for a group. I hear there's an LFG in it now, but I think that took way too long to implement to begin with. So I just stopped playing it. Whereas the inverse of games like Dota that me and Tekniq play, it doesn't ever really matter to play on a team if you don't want to, because the game for the most part is the same if you just randomly queue up and go. There's no harder content other than climbing the ladders.
I will say that much better if you 5-man versus if you go solo.
Sure, but there's an element to it that if you were just continue to randomly queue, it's not that the game. Yeah, maybe you're having a worse time because people are terrible, but at the end of the day, the game is the same. Whereas with WoW, I'm surprised I played it for so long without having anyone to really, without having a guild and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I in the past, Warlords of Draenor, I didn't do it for Legion, but I think for BF I did. I stopped my sub. I haven't stopped my sub since. So again, one, please join our guild if you want somewhere to call home. We'd love to have you. All are welcomed. It doesn't matter if you run sweaty keys or not. We just want to support any way that people want to play the game, which for us is Heroic Raid and Mythic Plus. But yeah, just what are your thoughts on that, anyways? Having the community.
Well, bringing it back to what these changes and how we feel unaffected by them. We're unaffected by them because the community, people don't have to look at our gear score when we're trying to get in pugs and say oh, it's heroic level.
You'd be carried more likely.
Yeah, right.
It's hard for me to decipher what Blizzard's goal is here. What are they actually going for?
Slowing it down. Technique, they want you to spend more months paying for the sub because you haven't reached that cap. Because I'm sure people reach that gear cap, and instead of picking up another alt, they're just okay, I'm done. I hit gear cap. I got AOTC. I got 3K. Now I'm just gonna play different games until next season. So they're slowing it down so that it takes I'm sure the seasons have been getting longer. I feel and that's because
really?
They have to put much more. Is that? I feel it's true. Maybe fact check me on that. Maybe they just feel longer.
I don't have the data in front of me, but what are you comparing it to when you say feels longer?
This is what I'm thinking. Is balance. There's more classes. There's more demand for these dungeons to be really good and really balanced. They might need more time in between patches to fix everything and balance everything, and so they want our time engaged during the season to be longer. So they're slowing it down. That's my prediction.
That is a fair assessment, right? That they don't want you to gear up so quickly to get out of it, right?
Yeah. Because they'll just quit and unsub for the last 2 or 3 months before the next season.
But they are giving us content faster than ever. And the seasons, from what I can see, and especially compared to Shadowlands, but Shadowlands is a bad example.
I'm thinking Shadowlands. I'm factoring Shadowlands in. Past.
Well, Shadowlands was notoriously long seasons.
Very long. Yeah.
But if I go back to even BFA, I'd say they were longer. But let's go to Legion, because Legion was also a part of a different era where they would make mini raids. They would make they launched with the Emerald Nightmare and Didn't they have another raid? One with like Odin immediately after that. Then they had the
I didn't play
Nightfall.
Legions,
Then
so I
they
don't
had
know.
not Seed of Triumph, whatever the one with Archimond coming back. And then they had us go to Argus, right? Like they were just pumping out raids, but that was also, I think, over a course of a 2.5 year period, whereas right now we're looking at like a year and 3/4.
Yeah, it's pretty short. But you also had
it's
less
a short
content
expansion.
patches than Legion, right?
No, well, that's the thing. We had more
Same.
content patches, but we had less content that was, let's say, meaty. So like we had less raids, we had less
raid
we
tiers,
had equally as much dungeons, but the also thing that they changed was that the dungeons weren't all out at the same time. So that was like, you know, you could argue either way that it was good or bad. But anyways, I think that they are definitely trying to slow us down, or well, they were until they reverted it. But the myth track also proves this, that they were trying to slow us down by not easily getting all our gear. I don't know if it's necessarily a problem. My problem doesn't lie with the fact that the myth track is higher. My problem lies that it's so hard to get lower level crests that, like, for example, on my shaman.
You can change your high level crest to low level crest. So it's
no, I know that's the point though. So like, okay, so on my shaman, I would get gear from the vault that was from a +8, +9, you know, like the high myth track. And I'd use my aspects leveled up. I wasn't doing a ton of dungeons on him. And then I noticed I had the Boolean gear that required so many Drake and whatever quests they are, you know. And I was like, okay, well, I'll go and do a low-level key. And no one was running low-level keys. I was like, oh, well, okay. And I was like, well, I'll go join a heroic raid. But the heroic raid was like a shit show, and everyone was just idiots, and they, you know, we didn't kill anything or whatever. And I was just like, well, all right, I guess I just have to run more 10s and convert my aspects that was like, that was just disgusting. So that's my problem I have with the system.
I think it's, well, I have an issue with the upgrade system as well, just because I think with alts, I think we could all agree that you should be able to like convert them and send them to alts, because it's just ridiculous to have to do it over and over again. Yeah, you don't know anything about it. That's my main issue with the crest. I don't mind that. You know, like, I think it's good to require you to get lower level ones. Like, you have the option of taking your higher ones down if you only want to do the more challenging content. But it gives you, like, maybe incentive to help your friends who are in the lower levels.
Yeah.
Maybe they're gearing alts or you know, I think it encourages more community play, community behavior, I guess, of saying, like, hey, I need a bunch of Drake crests who wants to slam, you know, 3s with me or whatever the fuck.
I don't understand why it can't just be one currency that you get some of at the lower keys and more of at the higher keys. Like, it just makes...
Well, the alternative to that is that you get more crests as the season goes on.
It's also Tekniq. I think the issue is that it's like they'd give you the higher reward at like +10, but you could, if you slammed like 100 +2s, get the higher reward and not have the higher skill level.
Sure, yeah, but think about the time consumption. Anyway, like, if you're talking about incentivizing players to go and join their buddies who are not yet ready for a +10 but want to do a +2, like, if I can get a few of the same thing I'm going for in the +10 versus a bunch of the thing I'm going for in +10, you know, it's not completely useless to me. And
I do feel like this current system leaves you with a lot of currency that's useless to you on a lot of avenues.
And to me, it's also just like, why complicate it so much, man? Why do I need a fucking spreadsheet to play the game? For every little thing I want to earn, I got to look at a goddamn spreadsheet and see that, like, oh, well, I got to do +7s to deal with this boss, and +10s, I'm going to get these. And, like, Jesus Christ, dude, like, come on. I don't want to go and refer to Wowhead every time I open up the game. You know, luckily, like, I play enough that I don't need to do that.
I was gonna say, you just have bad memory, dude.
I haven't had much difficulty with it.
But, you know, like, as someone who doesn't play every single fucking day, like, I'm sure a lot of people are in this place of like, well, what do I get for this, and what do I get for that, and where do I need to be? Like, there's not as much guidance for people that aren't watching fucking podcasts every day and aren't reading Wowhead Blue Notes every day. And I mean, the game should do a better job of making this stuff make more sense, in my opinion. You
mean as far as like telling the player, or as far as just simplifying the system?
What you're gonna get.
Just simplifying the reward systems and making it more straightforward. I mean, I shouldn't need to go and read a fucking book to understand what I got to do to get the gear that I want. That's all I'm trying to say.
I don't know if you have to read a book, but okay, I get your point about the.
What do you just 50? Look at how many tabs you've got open, bro. That's the book.
We're talking about the news.
That's the book.
I kind of get what he's saying. Like, I do feel like the champion hero myth system, and there's one even before champion. What the hell is that? I don't
veteran.
remember. Like the leveling stuff. Yeah, it is a bit convoluted. I think I've just maybe gotten used to it. It is awkward.
That I agree with. But I also think it's the best system.
I don't know if it's the best system, but I don't think it's a bad system. I think it's fine.
I mean,
like,
I should say the best we've seen.
With it.
In what boardroom? Like, who said like, oh, we need a system? Like, where did this system need to come from? I don't understand.
First off, why would you think a boardroom came up with this?
Fucking tracks of gear. You need veteran, champion, heroic, and mythic. Why the fuck do you need all that?
Because there's different tiers of content.
Let me explain why. No, I'm going to explain why. I'm going to explain why. You ready?
Okay.
Let's they don't want to make new shit. They want to make 4 different levels of the same shit. That's why. They want to make it easy for the developers and more complicated for the player. That's
this is additional to Tekniq. We've talked about this before. Is that like
because they're fucking lazy.
But in the past you get one set of gear from Molten Core, and like now we have like Raid Finder, normal, and stuff. We're not getting less. We're getting more.
Yeah.
Wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, what are you talking about wrong?
No, because the same players that only did looking for raid are the same players that only did dungeons or Molten Core. The players that did Blackwing Lair are the players that now do heroic.
They're not getting myth track. They're not getting heroic track. I don't even think they're getting champions track.
It's the same shit, except it had different names to the gear. That's all I'm trying to say. People that were stuck in Molten Core were not as good as the Blackwing Lair players. The Molten Core are the normal raiders, and the Blackwing Lair are the heroic raiders.
The Blackwing Lair was released after Molten Core.
Yeah,
it was a different raid.
Content patches, Tekniq.
Correct. Yes, correct.
So by that definition, if I did Vault only and only did Vault, but then the Sarkareth came out, there's a different eye level to that gear, but no one does that. No one plays the game like that anymore.
Yeah. Well, that's because the game is catered to a bunch of... I'm going to stop there and not go into politics. Go ahead. Next.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Okay. I kind of want to know how that was going to get into politics.
No, we're not going that way. Okay. So, I was going to talk about this.
Where is Shawnee? Is Shawnee here with us today?
No, Shawnee wants nothing to do with this conversation today.
I need a Canadian's advice here.
Well, look at his screen. He's making really good expressions. He's saying a lot with his eyebrows.
I know that Shawnee has paid all his bills. He's gotten a loan for a new house, and he's also looked at some motorcycles. And
motorbikes, they call them.
Motorbikes, sorry.
Canada? Either or.
Well, let's go to the next topic because I don't know if we can talk.
No, we're moving on.
Wait, can I?
Please say something, Shawnee. I feel bad that you've distanced yourself all day.
Well, no, just because you guys are like on tirades of like just tangents that have nothing to do with
you guys?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yins or y'all.
This is the example of it. Someone makes a comment, and then everyone else comments, and it gets off in this.
Yeah,
it's like a squirrel chasing that.
That's what we're here for, man.
But like it's going too long. Anyway, Frank still has 85 tabs, and we're like,
no, we only have one more tab to go through, and then we go to our question.
Wait, no, I want to hear Shawnee's opinion about the myth track gear.
This is I personally, the whole like thing that we started talking about with this about like mythic and hero and stuff. It doesn't affect me for the same reason it doesn't affect all you guys. We're not really like pushing up into that content. I would say I would like Valor again as a currency. I prefer one currency over like crest worms and all the things. And if they did it so it was like you get like 100 Valor in a 2 and you get 1,000 Valor in a 10, so you could go faster or cap out or whatever. I'm totally fine with that. As far as champion, hero, mythic, and all that, that doesn't matter to me. You level through that gear so quick that you don't really level your champion gear.
We do.
A ton.
Not everyone does, but we do.
I don't.
I also want to add to Shawnee's point, only because you used the word Valor, and I'm going to shut up after this, man. I hate that they've segregated PvPers from PvEers, man. I hate that.
Valor is a PvE currency, not a PvP one.
Whatever.
With honor.
Don't care.
You're mixing it with honor.
Shut the fuck up. All I'm saying is,
I know exactly where your brain went. You
I
mixed
hate
up
that,
Valor and
like,
Valor.
I hate that, like, man, like, I used to enjoy PvP. Like, it was cool to, like, do that in my off time versus, like, Tuesdays and Thursdays we raid or whatever. Man,
Tekniq
I hate
100% is going to be our thumbnail this week.
Yeah.
Tekniq off
I
the
just
rails.
hate that it's all the fucking, like, why is it all segregated like that? I feel like, man, like they're doing it on purpose. Like, they just don't
They
want
are
us to
doing
be
it
the
on
same crew of
purpose, so
people.
You thought that they were just
time.
throwing caution to the wind and not being purposeful?
Yeah, let's hear Shawnee talk. Hang on.
Yeah,
Hang
hands
on.
up. Yeah.
Answer why they segregate it is because in, I think, like BFA, they ran into the problem where some PvP gear was so much better than PvE gear, raiders had to do PvP to stay on their teams. And I think that, like, after that, they segregated it so they wouldn't run into that problem by forcing
people were destroying the PvP scene because of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so equalize them. Don't make them like this.
Now they are.
Make them more like, you know, this.
Now they are.
I don't know why it has to be such a. No, dude, you
Because
cannot
what happens
use
is-
PvP gear in PvE
what
situations.
happens-
You just
what
can't
hap-
anymore.
well, yes, you can,
Currently,
but-
you can't.
I mean,
No.
I'm sure you could if you want to suck.
But
that's
anyway.
the point. That's the point, Tekniq, is that they don't want
that's
raiders.
It's a bad approach, is what I'm saying.
They don't want raiders saying, "Oh, I'm just going to get a whole bunch of PvP gear now," even if it's not as good as the raid gear. But they go and jump into PvP, but their item level's so high, but they play so poorly in PvP. Because I feel like I'm a pretty good PvEer. I'd be awful at PvP, right?
We're getting 1800 this season.
I hope
Frank.
so. But that's another tyrant.
It's not so hard.
or
I can do
tangent.
it.
The
You
most
can do
fun
it.
I ever had in the game as a Prot Warrior was playing Prot Warrior Battlegrounds PvP, dude, in Shadowlands. That was the fucking
do that
bomb.
now.
Why
dude.
can't you do that?
Because
Yeah, you
the
can do
gear you get is useless in raids
you
and
have
PvE.
It's not.
I will say
useless.
it is
Absolutely
it's not-
useless. It's absolutely useless. I can do a key and get a 10 item level upgrade compared to the shit I get as a reward from my efforts in PvP. They should balance that out
What
to be
you've been
more
talking
equal.
about
Shawnee.
is you want different outfits, and it's often a different
Shawnee,
outfit.
you're
for
our resident
PvE and
PvP
PvP.
expert. If Tekniq, who is, let's say, geared 530 eye level,
Mhm.
were to go into PvP, would he be useless?
Yep.
He
Why?
doesn't have the fucking trinket. First
Because
off,
he doesn't have the trinkets, and
Yes, I
also
do.
he doesn't have the PvP trinkets that you need.
You need
I
the
do.
PvP ones.
I do.
And
Trinkets aside,
also-
trinkets aside.
Also, the scaling of PvP gear in PvP scales up a lot more.
It does
Correct.
scale up, but does it scale up to a point of uselessness?
Yes.
I mean, he wouldn't be absolutely useless, but he definitely if he was in rated high enough, him in against people with like the equivalent, in sense, like if he was in against people in full conquest gear, he'd get pretty smoked. I feel.
All right.
I have a hard time believing that Tekniq. Well,
I was
if
gladiator in
all-
Shadowlands, okay? So I went all the way up to the top, and I got the very best rewards you could get. And that felt good, because I could use it in both the PvE content and the PvP. Now, my PvE set was a good mix. I had a few pieces of the PvP gear, and a lot of the PvE gear when I was raiding. But when I went to PvP, rather, I would switch a few of those things out. All I'm saying is,
And you got
that
to the top.
felt really good. Yeah, as a prop
Will
warrior,
say-
man.
Doesn't that
in
further prove my
regular
point?
battlegrounds,
No,
not
because in
rated.
battlegrounds, I'm not talking about arenas. No, it was rated. No,
He
it was
thinks-
rated battlegrounds.
He feels like a
We
god
did-
because he's playing a prot warrior in a
We
Iraqi
had-
basin.
I had a group of 10 friends that did rated battlegrounds. It was
They
a
all
lot of
emailed
fun.
him, all
was some
came
of the
back.
most-
He started playing
Some
again.
of the most fun. Yeah, right.
I will say that it's very.
Rated battlegrounds is a blast, man, compared to
Johnny.
arenas, which is just a fucking stress fest.
It is very quick to get gear in PvP now compared to what it used to be. Also,
Very
like,
a night
overall,
of
you
slamming arenas. Yeah.
Anyway, all I'm
But-
saying is I hate that the rewards are so segregated that you just can't, like, if you PvP, you just can't use that shit in PvE, and vice
Shawnee,
versa.
let
It just
Shawnee finish
sucks.
his thought. He was halfway through the thought.
I don't even know anymore, guys.
I'm sorry, Shawnee.
move
I
on.
apologize.
All
man.
right.
Let's move
So,
on. This
part of
has
our
nothing
pre-
to do with this topic.
Part of our part of our pre-work for the show this week was talking about the hidden fourth affix. Well,
My
when we
cat,
would have gone live
I
yesterday,
want to talk about this.
they would have given us not this one. They would have given us the new Devourer affix. Okay, so this is the 4th affix. They're codenaming it Afflicted 2.0. So let me read through what it does.
Oh, no, Afflicted everybody hates. I was thinking of the BFA one.
So
what's that one called?
The way it works is Xal'atath will cast Void Rift on all players in the group. It looks like it applies we'll call it 50% health absorb shield to all the players. They need to be healed through that shield or dispelled. It deals a little minor damage to the people over 15 seconds. And if it doesn't get fully cleared out, the mobs in the area will heal for 10% of their max health every 2 seconds.
Frank, I got opinions about this. Can I go?
Sure.
I've been positive all podcasts.
You have. This has been out of character.
I hate this. Because this is what they took away all these affixes like explosive and now they're taking away like afflicted and stuff because all these healers were complaining it's too much pressure on the healer, blah blah blah. Now they have something that's just straight up only a healer can deal with. What the fuck? Like,
Shawnee,
why?
Can only a healer deal with this?
Incorrect.
Okay, tell me about it, Shawnee.
Because it's any poison, curse, disease, or magic can dispel it.
Only a healer and like God's special little children who are none of the classes I play.
Okay, fair enough.
On the one hand, I appreciate that warriors don't have to fuck with this, but on the other hand,
you can't.
I can't fuck with this.
You can fuck with it though, because you just. What about that heal roar that you have?
Yeah, I'm not using that.
Heal roar now.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, I wouldn't want to use defensives that heal. Like, I wouldn't use. Hell, Shawnee, would you even use Word of Glory on yourself?
Cry. What the hell? You wouldn't use that.
I'd wog myself for sure.
Yeah. So Scrap, to the point where a lot of classes can do the dispel thing. Like as a mage, I could dispel myself and help the healer out, right? Which I actually like a lot better than Afflicted, right? Because with Afflicted, I had to go hunt down the mob. This one, I just click it and auto cast on myself. So
what am I supposed to do? I'm gonna die at Shawnee's mercy, waiting for him to walk.
Use a health stone.
But you gotta use a health stone or all these cruel like boss mechanics.
Not after the nerfs that came out this week.
Okay, but that means what? Okay.
No,
so
in fairness,
let me finish. The game is relying. These dungeons are balanced around me having to possibly use like health stones and healing potions during the specific affix, and I'm not using them the other 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, because I have to save, right? Because I have to save them for the specific affix to come up, so then I don't need to use them on the other 3 weeks. That's really bad design.
So what level keys does this affix even apply to? Like 1 through 7?
No, everything over 2. 2 through 12. Sorry.
All of them, Tekniq.
No. After 12,
I don't think that's
12
true because
all of them that you're gonna do, Tekniq.
I think it's after 7 they don't apply, right?
No, 12.
Because
they've been moving around 12. So you're not gonna have to worry about this. You're not doing 12s.
What, bitch? I will crush you.
Okay, we'll see.
He'll be number 1 in PvP and number 1 in.
Yeah, if only they let him just have all the Valor he wants.
Did you see how much they buffed Pot Warrior?
Yeah, you see the buffs? It's gonna be insane.
Actually,
I will go anywhere I want.
Yeah.
No, but honestly, I mean, I feel like I hate stuff like I'm with Scrap's comment here. I hate that they're just like doing. They turned it off and now they're like remaking it. The 2.0 comment is exactly on point. It's like, why more of this dispel stuff? Now, granted, this is more, anybody, more people can pitch in.
Easier to pitch in.
My opinion is, if you're going to do something like this, like give us something to dispel, and I've said this before, make it make it a skill that's zone specific. What do they call that little button? The fucking zone button, the
action
vehicle button,
action button,
whatever the fuck. Button. If you're gonna make it something for me to dispel, make it so that anyone can do it.
Yeah.
Don't make me bring a druid because they're the best class for it, or a fucking whatever else.
Well, so priest would be the best class in this because of mass dispel, but
sure.
But so I can see where you say like, okay, if it's going to be something we have to deal with, make sure that everyone can deal with it. But if it's just as simple as the action button popping up and you hitting the button, that's too easy, of course, right?
I get that, and thinking about it, it's like I don't want everyone just to be like, oh, let me click my action button and we move on. That's dumb.
Yeah, that's shitty.
But what I'm saying is either
this other button that's also on my bar.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like what Scrap was saying. I don't like putting all the pressure on the healer which is generally where this is going to fall.
That can I also
No, my
go
problem
on,
lies
sorry,
with
finish.
the fact that like a healer still needs those dispels for other things. So like
Yeah,
now
they
they're
do,
gonna,
and I might need my health stone for other things. You know?
I agree.
Okay, so here's my oh my god, my dog is growling. Here's my other thing. You say like, oh, it'd be lame to have to press an action button and just it deals with it. I think any affix designed around pressing a single button sucks. It's fucking whack-a-mole. It's like, okay, you just have to hit this button here and then. Affixes should be more involved than that. They should have to get you to think, get you to do something, not just get you to hit this button that you have access to because you're God's special little class.
But that's what they're going
Yeah, I
away
think-
from with these
Well,
affixes.
the other affixes did a good job
with this,
of that.
they're not
This
moving
one
away from it.
reverts back to
No.
whack-a-mole.
This-
I
This
agree.
is whack-a-mole.
Well, hold on. Scrap,
Go
you're saying
back
you want
over
more
next
thought. You want
I
more thought
want-
going into it.
Yes, I want more thought. I mean, I like affixes like I know people are gonna hate this, but things like sanguine, where it's like there's movement is brought into it. Where
I
you
like
have to
Sanguine a
move
lot
around
too,
it.
but
Yeah.
but
I
what
do not like afflicted, and I don't like what's the other afflicted. I can't remember.
Yeah, the other version of the
Incorporal.
healer one.
The
Yeah,
other
Incorporal.
version of afflicted that you
Incorporal.
also have
The
to
crowd control.
incorporal. Yeah, where
Nobody
it's like
likes either one of
somebody
those. They
just
suck dick.
has to. Yeah, somebody just has to click on it and press a button, and it's like it's fucking. That's a lame responsibility. That's why people don't like
But don't
explosive
you?
either.
But then you don't like the other 3 affixes that they came out with for this?
Well, I'll tell you what, they're not that memorable because I don't fucking remember what they are.
But you were so excited
one
about
of
how
them
you
is
just had to
gather
run
the
over the
balls.
balls. Yeah, you were so excited about that.
I like gathering balls. I don't know what to tell you.
But there's no
Ooh,
thinking
Scrap
to it.
likes
You just sidestep. You go.
No
"Whoop."
more sound bites. I like having to move my character around and like
Did you
having to
clip that?
plan around like, oh, I need to like grab this stuff really quick. Like for example, I play Survival Hunter. Like I might need to switch to Aspect of the Evil, hit some like range attacks, and like working my cooldowns around having to do something. This is just wasting a global cooldown. If you have the opportunity to, if you're even allowed to, because you have the class that can do it, just when it tells you to, when your fucking weak aura tells you to. It's not an exciting affix. It's a chore.
I don't think it's the unpopular opinion to say that people are going to hate this, right?
Yeah.
It's
Don't
definitely
make affixes chores. Stop.
Okay. Shawnee?
I agree. They could totally do without this one. Just scrap it, move on, and make a different
on.
4th one.
Yeah.
Make something cool, like the and the woe.
Yeah, we love the and the woe.
I can see why this would be frustrating to people. I also I'm not crazy into it, but I don't hate it. I love that I'm not trying to like target a thing where I can use something on myself to help get rid of it and even help other people. But I totally understand where Scrap and Tekniq are coming from. And to Scrap's point, I do like stuff that you have to move or whatever for. If they made it, I mean, it was 75, they made it 53. Maybe if they made it less, I'd be more for it.
You still have to deal with it.
Well, so that's my question. So sorry, Shawnee, I want to ask that question to you and the others. So you don't have to deal with it technically, because if the mob's dead and the thing ticks off, no one gets healed.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I don't think that's enough of a pivotable like.
No, I know, but do you like that aspect of the gameplay?
I do like that aspect of like in some cases you could ignore it. Like for example, if there's like explosives and just like one's there, and there's not a lot of damage going out, you could just leave it, And that's like the healer's dealing with explosives, so they can decide like, oh, I'm just gonna like out heal it.
You know what would be a cooler affix?
It's fine.
And give it the name Void Rift. You know what would be cool? Can I go?
Sure.
Frank?
How long will it
So here's
be?
the thing. I think it'd be cool if the Void Rift attempted to suck all the players into the void, and the players had to do X amount of damage or X amount of healing to avoid that rift into the void. I think that'd be cool.
What happens when you get in the void? You die.
Oh, you just like disappear for 30 seconds or something. I don't know.
I like stuff
just
like
pulls
that.
You out. Like make me the player do something that's specific to my role. Don't make me decurse 5 people. That's fucking lame. Don't make me spam heals on 5 people. That's fucking lame.
You wouldn't be able to even do the decurse on 5 people because your cooldown is only 8 seconds, so you'd only be able to do it once.
Unless you're a fucking priest,
or twice.
But
Master
yeah,
Slayer.
I mean, I just
Shaman.
like
yeah, Shaman too.
If this like Void Rift opened and started to suck me in, and I had to do X amount of damage or tanking or healing or whatever to avoid that. That'd be kind of cool.
Well, hold on. Okay, you say healing. This is exactly that, though. You just have to do X amount of
I'm
healing.
saying it's
No, it's
role
just not
specific,
exactly
not
that.
just the healer. I'm saying
Okay.
if I'm the
just the healer.
DPS player,
But
and I don't do X amount of DPS during this 15-second period or whatever it is, 5-second period, then
don't
maybe
you
I get
see,
sucked into
because
the rift.
they already have one where you have to DPS the baddie, right? You have to DPS the Azalteth vision.
Mhm.
Sure.
So that one's already punishing because, like, if you're in the middle of a boss fight and you have like a window where you have to destroy a shield or whatever it is, like stopping to DPS on that thing is a problem. And then on top of that, you're now saying I'm also being sucked into a void where there's movement mechanics I have to also avoid. I say all this saying that I feel like Blizzard should comb through all their fixes and say like it doesn't spawn during this parts of fights.
Yeah,
but
they really need to do that. I mean, they
like-
do that sometimes after the fact, after they
way
fight.
too far, yeah, after they see
way
a big
too far,
problem. But anyways, like,
But also, where's the like kiss part of this? Is this a kiss curse?
you get 10% max health and 10% 20% crit.
Where's that said? I don't see. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not in the box for whatever reason. Okay.
God, I hate this affix.
Okay.
I gotta be honest. It sucks.
Yeah.
I would say this.
Not a fan.
Not a fan.
This 53% health absorb shield sounds too much. Because I feel like if it was like even as something as small as 15%, just like a quick chain heal, a quick, AoE heal would get it off and they can move on with their lives. That might be okay. Now, granted, in the inverse of that, though, again, imagine a heavy AoE part of a boss fight, and then you get this thrown on top of it. Like, holy hell, that sounds miserable. So again, I don't think it's an unpopular opinion to say this is going to be a disaster, but I'm going to get on the beta and try it out, and I'll have more to report next week.
I think they really need to have done a poll or something and seeing like what affixes do people like and do people hate, because I'm sure afflicted is at the fucking bottom of the barrel.
Open a forum
it.
And just say like, just give us your ideas. What do you think would make a fun affix? And like we did with our own personal affix.
Yeah, but the fact that people are calling this afflicted 2.0 and it's like that they're like, man, afflicted is so good, we should just like do it again, And it's like, dude, everybody hates afflicted. There's nobody I know who likes afflicted. Why did you do afflicted 2.0? Why couldn't we have something like sanguine 2.0 or something?
Yeah.
Like, this is not it.
All right.
Agree.
Last week, we opened a contest for the best warband picture / screenshot of your warband. And I think we've chosen a winner. Is that right?
Yeah.
I'm looking at it right now. And
we started at the bottom, though, because I want to see mine.
Well,
we're not gonna go through all of them.
All right,
Tekniq.
we're not going to go through all of them. I'm going to show.
Yeah.
I'll show techniques. There's techniques. I will.
Wait, we can't see.
Are you a worgen or do you have a worgen head?
No, you just got a wolf
I just have a helmet on, man.
That's a regular wolf, dude.
I can't tell the difference. I know you guys can't see it, but
your screen.
Yeah, I know.
I remember them.
I can't switch
terrible.
it.
Why can't I see it?
Just look on Discord. Anyways,
Yeah,
I remember.
I want to give a shout out to Ntoxics, also known as Fear.com in our community. His is everyone just being naked. One of them looks like they have a Batman symbol on their chest.
Tattoo.
Yep. I think we should give an honorable mention. So this would be our second place winner. What do you think? Should I just give first and second both a win?
I mean, it's your wallet.
Yeah. All right. We'll give first and second. So their name is Pontato Gaming, and we liked the fact that all their characters' names started with Brew. And my favorite,
what I like though
Bruises.
Bruises.
Hey, what, Frank? I'll take care of number 2.
We did specifically call out like we want people to show their names being similar possibly.
Yep.
And not only was all their warbands have Bruise in it, but you can see the characters that didn't make it in the warband. And I'm just like picturing if you scroll all the way down the list, it's just
Berserker,
like 40
their warrior.
Bruise. Yeah. So we love that dedication.
There was one person they didn't win, but there was one person that named their mage What's, and I want more on that story. But our winner. And I'm not going to say their last name, but it's John F. With and you guys ultimately were the ones that loved this the most. So, just what were your thoughts on John F.'s?
I thought it was really thoughtful.
To your screen can't really contribute here.
Well, you don't remember. He had like all Warcraft 3 classes, and I really
That's true. Yeah.
We did the Dark Ranger, and then the Warden is the trading posts transmog. And yeah, it's just really well thought out. And I love that.
Yeah, and I feel like they took because I don't think any of them have tier sets, so they one of them has the warden gear from
It's Trading Post.
Yeah, Trading Post. But the other three, I don't think I've used any of tier gear, which is rare to see that. I think so.
I love the Dark Ranger set because it's like we don't have a Dark Ranger. Like you can't make an undead elf or in the game, but it looks like it. It's kind of cool. So
I want to make a quick comment. We at no point did we say, hey, when you submit your warband, we want a long introduction to each of your characters, but some person here whose characters' names were Veronica, Leonard, Travis, and Francina decided to.
Where did I miss
Their
that?
backstories.
Decided to contribute a backstory to each of their characters, and for that, I give you 2 thumbs up.
Yeah,
I thought they were just jumping on the bandwagon of Leo and naming one of theirs Leonard.
Behold, Travis, an avatar of retribution, bringing a storm of divinity, and the final verdict.
That's Steve C, by the way, Steve C. So you got 2 thumbs up from Tekniq.
Steve, I really like that because I know for me, I know that some of these people, Shawnee is he's got Shawnee Boy, Shawnee Pally, Shawnee this, Shawnee that. All my characters have extensive backstories and different names.
What's that RP add-on that you write your story in?
Yeah, dude, extensive, that I came up with years ago. So I like seeing that in the wild where people have thought about this is my character, this is why they dress like this is why they look like this, so I like that dedication.
So Leonard is a sun-worshipping paladin that still has a few things to learn, living the life of the sword and board.
Shawnee, what's the new motorbike on your list?
I like it.
What?
I love it.
All right.
Great job.
So great job, John F. and Pontato Gamings. We will email you directly from us to look out for that. I have a question of the week. It was not one from our community. It's one from me. All right. I want to remind everyone that they can send their questions of the week to mythicdungeonleague.com or mythicdungeonleague@gmail.com or just get on our Discord and ask it there.
Or put it in the YouTube comments.
Or put in the YouTube comments, yep.
Yeah, just say question of the week in it somewhere.
But I wanted to ask you guys this because as Tekniq watched the video earlier today, there was a really good video from Taliesin and Evertail this week about who is the final baddie of the expansion. We don't know yet, so I just want to ask y'all, who do you think the final baddie of the expansion will be?
First, clarify the question. Are you talking about the expansion or...
Of the expansion, not the World Soul
Saga?
No, the expansion.
Okay.
So, Scrap, you say we will fight Xal'atath.
Am I confused? I feel like it's going to be Xal'atath.
I think that's the obvious answer, and that she will probably... I mean, again, the argument made in the video is that she'll probably play a prominent role in Midnight, and so they can't really get rid of her. Plus, she is a marketing, godsend for them.
And you know what? If not Xal'atath, I think that it's going to be a big old god or something. We haven't seen in a while, a Yogg Saron or, a Cthulhu, just a big ass... Yeah, it's been a while since N'Zoth.
Shadowlands and Dragonflight. So 2 expansions?
I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like old gods have been played out, but anyway, Tekniq.
No, but we didn't have it in Dragonflight. I really thought Dragonflight was going to end with a big old god because they were talking about old dragons fighting the old gods of the past. It's time. We're getting a big ass toothy eyeball covered thing. That might be our last.
In the Chronicle, they did mention though that there is a 5th old god somewhere.
Of course there is, and once we kill that, there will be a 6th one too. So, and I love the old gods. I'm not hating. I think it's always
bring
hyped
them on.
to
You're
fight
saying
a giant monster.
keep adding more.
You keep adding more. Yeah, it's okay. Remember that how we said that was the last one, Doug? There's an even worse one. It's got even more mouths, even more eyes. It's even meaner. It's even nastier, and you're gonna kill it. I love that shit. So
Tekniq.
Xal'atath, I think Xal'atath's gonna be more of a misunderstood goodie that looks like a baddie, but actually ends up being a goodie.
Xal'atath, okay.
All right, I think there's this big in the video that you're referencing, which is the Taliblah, Zaniblah.
Taliesin and Evertail.
Yeah.
Taliblah.
Why the fuck is that their name? Anyway, so. They reference this big Voidwalker baddie dude. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You follow me? And I think that's gonna be. I think that dude, like Dionysius or some shit, is gonna be the baddie probably of of this expansion. And I just want to follow. I think if my memory serves me correct, Xalatath. No, not Xalatath, but what's the warrior, the hunter, Alad, the female hunter, Illyria, trains with the bandage shadow
Locust
dude, Locust Walker, and says that big bad guy did X to their planet. What's his name? Dionysius or some shit?
Dominant, yeah, Dominius.
What are you? Hey, Tekniq, when are you gonna do a lore video? Because I'd be happy to watch it.
Drunk lore with Tekniq.
Drunk lore.
I'm not drunk.
No, I know, but I would love you to do drunk lore.
You could do like a drunk history, but with WoW lore.
and so this like big bad Void Walker, I think would probably be like the big bad enemy of the first expansion. I feel like, we're gonna meet Xalatath, we're gonna meet the bandage wrap dude, and they're all going to point to the big bad Void Walker that sucked up his planet, and then we're going to maybe fight him or kill him, and then move on to discover that he wasn't the big baddie after all, and progress through the World Saga. But who knows? Maybe not.
I feel like that would make more sense for the Midnight, because that's when they start invading, because it does sound like
maybe Azeroth is the big baddie.
The planet? Or the Titan.
Azeroth's not the Titan, apparently.
Maybe Mother Earth is like, fuck you guys.
Just a planet.
Yeah.
We fight a planet.
You're ruining me.
By the way,
just comes out and grabs the sword, and it just starts swinging it, and we have to fight the army.
Maybe Magni Bronzebeard is the big baddie. He's been brainwashed by Azeroth.
Now that is something
we already know what happens to him, unfortunately.
No, that's something they often do. So I would not put it past it. X character that's super good gets corrupted, and then we have to fight.
Well,
them.
I think that'll happen to Illyria. That's where that's saying
Illyria's like, she's been on the edge of that already. But you know what? You're right. It's gonna happen to Illyria because they always do it to female characters.
And to the women.
Those are kind of like super easy to corrupt.
That's if you learn from WoW, then that's what you would think.
Can I take a little side here before I ask Shawnee? Did you guys see the surprise boss in the Molten Core of Season Discovery?
No, I don't even know Season Discovery is still happening.
Is it Xalatath?
No, it was the Molten Core. It was just a big molten lava that came out of the Ragnaros' body, and you just fought it.
Okay.
I just love that. I love that shit.
It's cute. Yeah. Right. Season Discovery is cool. But not
Shawnee, who's going to be our last boss of the expansion?
I think it's going to be someone we don't know about whatsoever.
Oh, whatsoever.
Behind the scene. Someone new. Someone new to us, but not maybe like new to lore.
Did you watch the Talon ES video?
I did not.
They went in depth, dude. You might.
I think it's going to be someone that we just like totally overlooked somehow. That's like, someone we don't see coming.
I think
really don't know
my guess is Locust Walker. Right, I think he's going to, because we are hinted that the raid for season 3 will be a Rift Walk. Not Rift. Yeah, are they called Rift Walkers? Rift Walker.
Yeah, but he's
raid.
going to save his already destroyed planet.
No, I think he's leading us into something.
We're going to be doing.
He's like leading us into a trap.
He's getting our help. He's like, oh wow, you guys took care of X. I'm going to need your help on my planet with Y. And then we're going to fight big Void Walker boss.
That's possible. But I think Locust Walker
a lot more possible than your bullshit thought. Just saying.
Okay. That is our episode for the week. Just a reminder, mythicdungeonleague.com. Email us at mythicdungeonleague at gmail.com if you have any questions for the week. You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow us on Twitch. And please join our Discord. Please join our guild. We'd love to have you. Okay. Let's wrap things up. Tekniq, any final thoughts?
Oh, do you guys want to see my collector's edition stuff?
Yeah, show that off while I'm asking everyone else.
See that. Okay. Sorry, my dog is attacking.
Yeah, Scrap, while he's getting that, how's your dog doing?
She's like the last 10 minutes, she's like been bugging me.
I keep seeing her pop in the background.
I will show you a video after this. She is just growling and whining at me for the past 10 minutes. So.
All right.
Yeah, she's a psycho.
Show us what you got.
What's up? We got this cool box.
So you're finally
the load screen. It's got the load screen on it.
Yeah, this cool opening load screen. It's a really cool art book. I will say I'm a little less impressed with the art book of this version than the other collector's editions I've bought.
Oh, and you can compare to it too.
There's a little medal inside, like a little badge, a little thing.
For someone who hates this game, you do buy all their collector's edition.
Yeah, he's the biggest fan, biggest supporter, biggest hater.
When it comes to their artwork, cool. There's no comparison. I'm gonna spend the money on that stuff.
Yeah, it's cool. Cool collector's item.
Yeah. And then there's like the statue, which is the best. It's the only, actually. I mean, I've got every collector's edition. This is the only statue that's come with the box, man, which is actually really cool. Let me show you this guy. This is like some Griffin Stormrider guy. I don't know his name. I'm not a lore guy. But he's
It might
cool.
be one of the bronze beards.
Yeah,
he's
got to be a hammer wielding, griffin riding dwarf guy.
I gotta say that statue looks fucking awesome. It's really
It is.
cool.
It probably weighs like 3 pounds.
Too.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
That's a nice death ornament.
Okay, Shawnee.
Yeah.
Final thoughts?
I just wanted to tell Scrap about a really cool skill she's going to get in More Within.
What's that?
Oh, tell me about it.
It's called Emergency Salve, and it turns feign death.
Defensive.
It turns feign death and aspect of the turtle now will remove poison or disease effects from you.
What's the cooldown on feign death?
I don't want to waste. Well, feign death, that's awesome because feign death's like I think it's 30 or 45 seconds.
Yeah, it's super short.
In PvP,
you can die every 45 seconds. Jeez, that's a new record for you.
I will say in PvP, I think it was a PvP ability before is that you tap feign death and just drop all your like poisons and stuff on you. So you just like kind of tap it and cancel it. So that they're bringing it to PvE. That's awesome.
So now you have
two ways to
dispel. Yeah.
Well, I'm not using turtle to get rid of poison. I'm sorry.
Sure, but
I'm
feign
just
death.
saying you can.
But I will. Feign death is all. I like having to use feign death in like certain situations. I think it's a really cool utility and it's very unique. So giving it more purpose, more play is hype. Thank you, Shawnee, for making me aware of that.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for, buddy.
I hope everyone has a wonderful week.
Like
your final thoughts, Frank?
No, your final thoughts for your dog.
No, here's my final thoughts. Anybody who's stuck it out through this episode, you're a real one because
Seriously,
this
is
all
off
over
the
place.
rails. Yes,
it's off the rails. Frank has a fever. Tekniq is seriously on one. The topics were so basic, and we came out with the craziest takes. So
we
yeah,
still have. I was like,
watching.
we're gonna have a short episode, like I always fucking think. Nope.
Y'all are true fucking fans if you stuck. This
I'm worried
one
about
out,
Shawnee.
man.
Like Shawnee's gonna leave the podcast soon. Like he's like, what am
Sure,
I wasting my
Shawnee
time?
stuck this one out. This one was wild. So thank you to all the watchers.
All right. Well, again, thank you for hanging through with episode 19 of Around the Mage Table, the podcast for the rest of us. Remember, MythicDungeonLeague.com. Join our guild, join our Discord. And until next week, we'll see y'all then. Bye.
Bye.